The Minnesota Chippewa tribe has a constitution that was written in 1936. It's made up of 6 bands, and each of the bands is a federally recognized tribe. And so there's a tribal executive committee that consists of the chairperson and the secretary-treasurer of each of the 6 bands. They basically do 3 things together, the 12 of them. They create election ordinances every couple of years. So in 2018, for example, there is the secretary of treasurers of each reservation are up for re-election, as is 1 or 2 committee members, and then in 2020 there'll be an election for all the chairperson. They determine membership. Now, this is usually done by the Reservation Business Committee, or whatever they call themselves. They refer to the RBCs now as the governing bodies at the Tribal Executive Committee. But so what were the RBCs? Kind of makes recommendations to the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. They basically ratify the membership of the different bands. And the different bands determine who's a member, who's not, and ultimately that gets ratified by the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, by all of them. So frequently what will happen is, if Bois Forte has somebody there that qualifies for membership under under the laws of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, the secretary-treasurer will make a motion to admit so-and-so as a member. The chairman of the Bois Forte band will second it, and then the president of the MCT will, all those in favor, say aye. It's a very it's one of those parts of the meeting that goes very quickly, because usually each band has its own, kind of has autonomy over that. And then the last thing is this holding of mutual trust lands together. So between 1936 and 1964, a lot of lands were taken into trust for the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. After '64, the lands got taken into trust for individual bands on their reservations. So each of the 6 bands has Minnesota Chippewa tribe trust lands, and so technically they deal with it. The reality is they have a land ordinance that allows each band to take care of the land inside their own boundaries. So, I mean, this is very kind of technical. So now, this is the real on-the-ground government. What was originally called the Reservation Business Committee are now called different things on different reservations. There's a couple that may still refer to themselves as this, but I know that Bois Forte refers to itself as a Reservation Tribal Council. The Mille Lacs Band has this total separation of powers approach to things. But basically, they do the day-to-day governance of the bands. So they are the person you go to, they deliver services to band members. So whether it's health care to the elderly, taking care of housing, taking care of health care, they operate the clinics, it's everything a government does. That's done by these entities. And probably most important, they make laws and they're governed by those laws. And so they have the right to do that under the bylaws of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. So they can also assign different roles to their officers. And so they can kind of be creative from some of the band's perspective on how they can interpret the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. And there's been a great deal of flexibility with regard to how they've made their own laws, and each of them is an autonomous, federally recognized tribe on its own. And so the day-to-day governance of the people of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, the 41,000 band members, is done by these entities.